What's up, my Pungios? Andy with Andy Vlogs. Excited to share with you guys this content here. As the title suggests, we're going to be going over basically a podcast setup. Now, I'm just starting a podcast. I've run a couple of podcasts in the past, and I'm pretty prolific in the live streaming scene. What that means here is that I've had a chance, over the last 5 or 6 years to find the best quality products and the biggest bang for your buck when it comes to starting a podcast. I have some exciting news that I'm going to be starting a D&D podcast on another channel you can check out called Fate's Forge. It'll be up in the cards or down in the description. It'll be coming out in September. Really excited to be able to show you that, guys. And here is basically my setup for that process. I'm going to break down all the elements of the podcast, what's needed, and why I chose these specifically when I did. For my podcast, I'm not going to be having it at home. So that's why you're probably wondering, why do you have 2 different microphones and, a whole rig here in the studio? It's because when it comes to podcasting D&D, you got to find a big, wide area. I don't have something like that. So everything needs to be portable. I don't want to be carrying gigantic gear, very expensive gear to a podcast, with the risk of it being broken. So I've decided to check out the AT2020s from Audio-Technica. These are fantastic XLR microphones. XLR is basically the cord that you plug in that you typically use, in a music studio. XLR. It's the most common connection when it comes to sound. The next thing that you need is a soundboard. I picked this Xenyx soundboard from Behringer. Behringer is a German company that is fantastic when it comes to audio engineering. Some of the highest profile producers use Behringer soundboards. This is a 2-channel soundboard. This is obviously what you're not going to be using. I'm using an 8-channel. This is what I would recommend if you want to start a 1 or 2 person podcast. I also have its big brother, which is a 4 XLR channel up to 8 if you're doing musical instruments and whatnot. This is what I typically use. I've upgraded now since to the 8-channel XLR. So you're going to be needing an XLR cable, you're going to be needing an XLR microphone, you're going to be needing a soundboard. Why I like these specific Xenyx boards is because there is a USB port. This will plug directly into your computer and it can be recognized as a microphone. So if you use any programs for audio editing, if you're using programs for live streaming, this is integrated seamlessly. Now, the reason why I like to use XLR instead of USB is because if you're using multi-microphones that are coming through USB, those microphones typically have a difference in latency by certain, milliseconds. If you use a soundboard, you can have all of the inputs from the microphones going into one place and having all of them output into the exact same sound channel. Now, there's more audio engineering into it. You can separate the channels depending on the software that you use, but I'm not really concerned with that. I'm just showing you what I think is the most affordable products here for your podcast. All right, the next section is a little more controversial. It depends on your budget. Now, if you are very low budget and you want to get away from the potato microphones on your phone and the potato cameras from your phone, and to be able to shoot a podcast that's decent, that you pull all together into software and whatnot, I recommend the Logitech 920. This is standard when it comes to webcams. It's about $100. It's not too bad. The prices did go up since the pandemic because everyone was grabbing webcams. Nonetheless, it's decent. It gives you probably a 20mm lens. It's not super high quality, but it'll get you an HD 1080p video. What I recommend is stepping it up and getting an actual mirrorless camera. This is from Sony. This is the Sony a6400. It came out in 2018. I picked it up when it first came out. You can see those videos up in the cards. The reason why I love this camera is you can obviously put lenses on it. Sony has some of the most versatile, some of the most beautiful lenses out there. Their technology when it comes to cinematography and photography are bar none the best, in my opinion. I'm shooting on a Sony. With that said, this camera body specifically is unique because it does not shut off or power down. If you're recording, some cameras in the Sony line do have a limit of 18 minutes, 30 minutes. This one does not. It's unlimited. They've able to manage the temperature at such a way that is fantastic. This is not a full frame camera, so you do have a bit of a crop in, which is okay, but when you're dealing with like a podcast, you do want to get closer to the subject without bringing the camera closer. And so using a lens, using a mirrorless camera with that, I think it's a 3/4 inch lens, which gives you 1.2x, 1.25x crop in, I think it's fine. It's totally fine. I have an accessory here like the 256 Extreme Pro SD card, as well as a rig that you can put on top of it to add additional cold shoe mounts. This is from SMALLRIG. I think this is a fantastic setup here, whether you decide to go with, you know, the more conventional or the more expensive. This is going to set you back about $1,000, whereas this is going to set you back about $100. Just unboxed the camera here for the first time. It is so small, lightweight, you know, it compared to another webcam. I mean, you can't really feel the difference. Obviously, once you put the lens in there, it's going to make a difference. But you know, it is really an awesome camera, very compact to bring around, and you won't go wrong investing into this. Another few things that I love about this is that it's got an HDMI out that you can connect to your computer. Obviously, if you wanted to get a monitor, you can also connect this to a capture card if you wanted to have the video itself being captured into live streaming, or obviously when you're podcasting. And then what's also more unique, which happened recently in the last year, is that you can connect to this via USB 3.0 into your computer, and it serves as a webcam, which can also be captured for your podcast. Really, really exciting stuff. I have videos about that all up and down below in the description. Well, folks, that's about it here. This is kind of my opinion. You can go a little bit more expensive if you want to get the nice camera. However, if you're getting the soundboard, the Logitech, the XLR AT2020, I think it's going to set you under $500. I mean, that's a steal of a deal if you're going to be starting a podcast. This is about $100. The stand's $20. This soundboard will set you back about $100. The webcam's about $100. So all in all, it's probably under $400. With that said, if you want to go a little more extreme and get a couple more channels, a couple more microphones, it's going to, you know, get a little more expensive, but I think it's going to give you much higher quality. I didn't break down and show you how to put all these things together, but I'm providing you more of a lifestyle, more of a recommendation here for you guys to check out. I didn't even go over any of the software that I use and will use for my podcast. If you're interested, let me know in the comments down below and I'll do a follow-up video for that. Other than that, folks, thank you so much for checking this out. None of this content here was sponsored. It was products that I purchased myself. However, down below in the links in the description, if you want any of these products, you can check them out. You can check them out down below in the links in the description for their products, availability, and prices. Just know that that does help out the channel there if you do click on those links and purchase anything. All right, folks, my name is Andy with Andy Vlogs. We'll see you next time.